Let's get into this show tonight, y'all. We got a lot to cover tonight. The first thing I want to show you tonight is, and I've got to have to be careful with my words tonight because I know that YouTube transcribes every word that's said on a program, not just the images and not just the titles and so forth. And then, of course, I find out later tonight. And by the way, I've got a 100% record. Every Monday night I get flagged. so I'm probably going to keep my record 100% intact tonight. So I want to show you a video tonight. This is a very short video, but I want to preface this and say that when I show you these videos on this show on the Big Picture Live, I don't talk about anything that is not verifiable. Okay, this is not pie in the sky. This is not I heard this somewhere. I saw this on a website. I don't know the source and all this. Before I put it on here, I know the source. I've double checked it. I've triple checked it, and many times I try to show you the actual source. Is what I'm going to show you tonight. So the source for this short video is none other than, ding, 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 you hear about him all the time on here, is Klaus Schwab and the World Economic Forum. This comes straight from their website. This is not some other guy, edited something. This is what is called the Great Reset. I don't know if the YouTube algorithm can understand it. The Great Reset. All right. So this is a video that they released at the World Economic Forum during what we just went through around the world. Now listen, notice what it says. Our world has changed. Notice what it's showing. Showing everything that we just went through. Storms, pollution, industry. Of course they're going to show that. Our fragility is exposed. Of course, it's showing death, protests, riots. We'll show that in a minute. Our systems need a reset. Our systems. And I'm going to show you tonight what the systems are that they are planning to reset right before our eyes. Begins. The next level begins in 2023. 7 years to get to their agenda, 2030. Y'all pay attention, y'all, because you're going to need to help some other people. You're going to need to show this video to some other people and show them, because they're going to think that you're just a conspiracy theorist. But you need to show them. This comes straight from the World Economic Forum's website. This is their pie in the sky. And you see what it's called, the Great Reset. Okay, join us. World Economic Forum. Do you see that? So that is the setup for tonight. Agenda 2030 is an agenda that was established by the World Economic Forum. I've shown the video before, and I'll show segments of it again tonight about the Great Reset that I just said and just show on the screen. And I'm going to show you that one of the biggest parts of getting us to where they want to get us to on 2030, by 2030, which is only 7 years away, by the way, now at the time of this live recording, is they've got to have chaos. They've got to have fear, and they've got to have instability. And they don't like stability. People that are trying to take power and liberty and freedom from you, the enemy of that is consistent stability and people making a way for themselves. So everything I'm going to show you tonight is going to be random things that are going on. Some of it is nature. Some of it is just political things that are happening. But I can tell you this, every single one of the things I'm going to show you tonight and many of the other things that you're going to find on your own as you go down this path of opening up your own eyes. Any kind of chaotic situation is an open door for the enemy. And I say the enemy because we have an enemy. It's not a person, it's the devil. And the devil is instructing and using powerful elite people all over the world to shape this Agenda 2030. Okay? But I want to show you a couple of quick things before I get in depth on Agenda 2030. The first one I want to show you is I want to bring some news items to show that how they don't want stability. And one of the things that they did not like, that the world global system did not like, is they did not like the re-election of Benjamin Netanyahu to the nation of Israel. They thought they were done with him. They thought they finally got him out of the way because he's the longest-serving prime minister in the history of Israel, and he is the most pro-Israel, that he believes that they have a God-given right to the land of any prime minister that they've had, certainly in modern times. Well, I want to show you something real quick, a real quick video clip of what the world is trying to say about Netanyahu. He's only been in office at the time of this, back in office for 3 days. Let's watch this.
Israel condemned and the Palestinians welcomed on Saturday a United Nations vote over Israel's occupation.
I want you to hear this first. It says the Israel celebrated, the world, the United Nations celebrated, Israel condemned this. Look at the vote. This was a vote. He went into office. He's only been in office 3 days. And immediately, out of fear that he was not going to line up, because the last prime minister that they had just for a brief moment there before Netanyahu took off, he stood in that same place, the United Nations, and proclaimed that he was ready for the first time ever to declare a two-state union. And they was all excited about that. But Benjamin Netanyahu come in and surprised them all. He is not in favor of that. Watch what the vote results. 87-26 against, 53 abstention. By the way, if you abstain from voting, you voted for it. So you got 26 nations in the entire world that voted against this. Now listen to what they did.
Of the Palestinian territories.
Draft Resolution 1 is adopted.
The General Assembly passed a resolution on Friday to ask the International
all the
Court
nations.
of Justice for an opinion
Thankfully, the
on
United
legal
Nations.
consequences of the, quote, occupation.
Thankfully, the United States, UK, and a few others, Canada, shocked that Canada did it, voted against it. And I think that's probably for political reasons.
Settlement and annexation, including measures aimed at altering the demographic composition.
Look at where they're protesting. You see the Dome of the Rock? Now I want you to listen. I'm going to back it up real quick, and I want you to listen to what they are saying about why they are protesting. Listen very carefully.
Occupation, settlement, and annexation, including measures aimed at altering the demographic composition, character, and status of the holy city of Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Saturday called the vote despicable. He said the Israeli people are not occupiers and would not be bound by the resolution. The vote presents a challenge for Netanyahu, who took office this week as the head of a new hard-right government that has made settlement expansion and annexation a priority. Palestinian officials hailed the vote as a victory Saturday. A spokesman for Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas said the time has come for Israel to be a state subject to law. Along with Gaza and East Jerusalem, the Palestinians seek the occupied West Bank for a state. Most countries consider Israel's settlements there illegal, view Israel disputes, citing historical and biblical ties to the land. The Hague-based International Court of Justice is the top UN court dealing with disputes between states. Its rulings are binding, but it has no power to enforce them.
So basically, the United Nations has sent papers, and all those nations that voted for it, only 26, I believe it was, that voted against it, to send papers to the United Global Tribunal Court to put in, basically accuse Israel of committing a crime for living in their own nation. It would be like in the United States of America saying that, Canada and Mexico are saying that we have committed a crime that we have, 25 of our states, that we have people living in those states. Well, I understand where people are going, but the reality is this, and I know I'm going to get probably some pushback on this, but Palestine is not a nation. There are Palestinian people that, go by the name of Palestinian people. They are not a nation. There is a nation of Israel. And what people forget is that the same group that just voted to accuse Israel of a crime for living in their own country was the same organization that in 1948 voted unanimously to create that nation. That's how far things have moved. Let me show you a couple of things online here when it comes to that. This is an example of what is happening. Benjamin Netanyahu, now I'm going to tell you something. This is why they don't like him, because he openly said, I came back. I was done. I was ready to retire and be a pawpaw. I was going to take care of my grandkids and just go off into the sunset as the longest serving prime minister in the history of Israel. And he said, listen, I have a duty to my nation. I came back, look at the headline, to stop Iran. This is what he said in the interview that he had. This is why they don't like him, because he's not lining up with Agenda 2030 in the way that they want him to. It says Prime Minister designate Benjamin Netanyahu views himself as, quote, a figure of destiny, and he returned to the political limelight in order to stop Iran, according to a veteran journalist who recently interviewed him. And then he goes on to talk a little bit more about the interview. It says, the reporter said, I said, what is your goals for the new government? He said, number one, stopping Iran's nuclear program. Number two, expanding the Abraham Accords. These are the accords that were signed when Trump was president of the United States, peace treaties. And he specifically mentioned Saudi Arabia. He said that would be, quote, a quantum leap for Israel and Saudi Arabia to make peace. Number three, he wants to continue to build Israel into an economic powerhouse with the scientific, the high-tech, the medical breakthroughs. So those are his three big goals going forward, he told the reporter, but overshadowing our whole conversation is Iran. He's 73 years old. Boy, looks good for 73. And like I said, he could have just gone off into the sunset. He already accomplished so much as Israel's longest-serving prime minister. Much of the left-wing media there are completely against him and his family, and yet he came back. He came back. The main reason he made very clear, to stop Iran. Well, let me tell you what else he did that tore him up today. Just today, ladies and gentlemen, Israel strikes Damascus airport, killing 2 soldiers. Israel conducted a missile strike on Syria's international airport in its capital of Damascus on Monday, killing 2 soldiers, injuring 2 others. The attack happened shortly after midnight and put the airport completely out of service. They knocked out the airport. Do you know why he did that? I don't know if this article says it, but I've read articles where he's been quoted of saying the reason that he did it, y'all, is listen, how refreshing it is. And people, the systems of elites cannot stand when people actually come in and do what they said they were going to do. In case in point, you remember, the orange skin guy, he said the same thing. Yeah, whether you liked it or not, you had to admit, he actually came in and did what he said he was going to do. And they don't like that about Benjamin Netanyahu. He came in and said, I came in to stop Iran. Well, the intelligence was telling him that weapons were being funneled from Iran through Syria and was being taken over the border by land and was being used as attacks against the people of Israel. And he said, not only am I going to stop Iran's nuclear program, I'm going to stop the unending flow of weapons coming through Syria and flying into Syria. So you know what he did? He just literally knocked out the entire airport and wiped it out. It'll be out for days. And he basically gave him an ultimatum. You build it back, you start doing this again, and it'll be a worse strike happening. So that's one thing that's in the news. Like I said, I'm going to cover a couple of things that's in the news here. Now, if you really want to put your tinfoil hat on, y'all, and some of y'all, put your tinfoil hat on, y'all listen to some folks that's out there, and I ain't judging. I listen to some people that's out there too, and I'm a little bit out there myself. But there is a belief that there is also another type of warfare going on that's all a part of this Agenda 2030, and that is weather warfare. There are some people that believe, whether it's true or not, there are some people that believe that the weather is being orchestrated, okay? And there are things that happen in the weather that orchestrates different things to cause chaos in the weather. And so there are many people that believe that what is happening on the west coast of the United States of America the last few weeks and now is a part of that there are people that believes that this is orchestrated. Some people believe it's tied to climate change. Some people believe that it's just a natural occurrence. But something really strange that maybe some of you knew about that I didn't know about is called an atmospheric river. an atmospheric river. Because remember, the theme of tonight is Agenda 2030. You say, what has this got to do with it? Because any kind of chaotic, any kind of natural disaster, any kind of war, any kind of terrorist attack, these are open doors for those of the Agenda 2030 to walk in, run in, and seize, because the key is to seize freedom and to seize liberties. And of course, we saw that through the pandemic of what we just went through, how so many of our freedoms that we took for granted were taken over. All right, so atmospheric river turns deadly as California is slammed with flooding and mudslide. I'm going to show you a video that's going to blow your mind, y'all. Notice another, because they just came through what is called an atmospheric river. Another one is now hitting California as of today. Another significant atmospheric river event drenched California this weekend, flooding homes, roads, forcing evacuations, and claiming at least one life so far. And this person's life was basically tied to a tree falling and so forth. But I want you to watch this video here and just let's see if I can get this to work here. Okay. These are just some images from California, y'all. These are people floating down the streets of California. That right there, I'm coming back to that. I think that was the tree that actually took someone's life. But these are just some examples of what's going on there. But I'm not going to play this whole video because I want to show you another video in just a second. But I wanted to show you this article, and then I want to show you one more article here from the Fox Weather site. It's called "Atmospheric River Turns Deadly as It Slams California with Mudslides," and it says another atmospheric event drenched California this weekend, flooding homes and roads. We just read that. Levees broke on the Tsunami River. Can't say that, and it caused water to rush into communities. And, of course, this was the tree here. This was the actual tree that took somebody's life. But what is an atmospheric river? Okay, let me show you this video here that explains what is going on. This is wild, y'all. This is an atmospheric river.
Imagine a river in the sky with more than twice the water of the Amazon. It's called an atmospheric river.
Did you get that? Imagine a river in the sky with twice the water as the Amazon River. It's floating above your head, twice the water as the Amazon River, and it's moving towards you.
Atmospheric rivers are long, narrow bands of concentrated water vapor that produce major amounts of rainfall. Atmospheric rivers begin in the warm waters of the Pacific, where water evaporates into the air. When this humid air meets a Pacific storm, the water vapor is concentrated and driven toward the coast, becoming a fire hose of rainfall and wind.
Unreal. That's unreal.
Once the atmospheric river reaches the coast.
Watch it how it just climbs up, and it literally is like a tsunami out of the sky.
Coastal mountains and the inland Sierra. The collision squeezes additional rain and snow from the system. Atmospheric rivers are responsible for up to half of California's annual precipitation.
I had no idea. That this was a regular thing, but this is just what they call a severe one.
Scientists at Scripps Institution of Oceanography have developed a new system that rates atmospheric rivers on a...
Okay, I'm not going to spend all night on that. I just wanted to show you what an atmospheric river is, and it's flooding. But y'all, is this? Oh man, where's it at? I want to go back to this because I want to show you this one here. I thought I had a video on it, but I got to show you the video from the website, because this is what is called a sewer geyser. I want y'all to see these sewer geysers here. These are happening all over California. All right, your mind's gonna be blown. All right, if I can find this one, there it is. I think this is it. Nope, that's not it. When you see this. Oh, don't tell me I didn't put the video on here. Didn't put it on there. Oh, y'all, man. It's like geysers shooting up all the way. I cannot believe I did not put it on there because that was going to blow y'all's mind. But just do a Google search, y'all. I mean, go to YouTube and look for sewer geysers. Basically, what it was is these were videos that people were taking from their phones where people were in buses and all this trapped on the road, and these manholes were blowing up, and geysers were blowing up out of the sewer higher than the buses, and they were just lined up all the way down the road. Every manhole was shooting up sewer water higher than the mass transit buses. It's just mind-boggling, and they're literally calling them sewer geysers that are happening. So if they're happening there, they're happening all over the place. This is just crazy, y'all, what is happening here. Well, all right, moving on. Let me just tell you, remember, chaos. When there's chaos, when there's weather chaos, when there's disease chaos, when there's unrest in the political world, when there's wars going on, the World Economic Forum and all these other entities that are out there, man, they just jump on that. They seize that and they go, oh, people's afraid. Let's capitalize on their fear and let's take a little bit more freedom. Let's make them a little bit more dependent on us. Well, y'all know what we just went through, y'all, okay? Y'all know what the whole world just went through for 2.5 years. Shutdown after shutdown after shutdown. And I'm not trying to be big conspiracy here, but the reality is this. We know where that thing that went around the world started. And I want you to know that there is an uptick again. And they don't want to talk about it, but here it is. The CDC is now reporting a new strain of Omicron that is now taking over the United States. All right, now, that's one thing. A new version of Omicron has taken a hold in the United States, according to the most recent data from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The subvariant, blah, 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 blah. You can read it. If you're not watching, you're listening to it. I'm sorry, I'm not going to say all these words. About another potential wave of cases following the busy holiday travel season. The CDC projected Friday that about 40% of confirmed U.S. cases are caused by this particular strain. Okay, so it's starting to grow. Now, here's the thing that's mind-boggling, y'all. Watch this, because in the midst of all this going on, this is happening.
Bloomberg is now reporting that 50% of passengers on 2 flights landing in Milan from China today tested positive for COVID. 50% of those 2 flights. And this comes amid heightened concern over the growth in cases as Beijing unwinds its long-held zero COVID policy. A lot of nations now either implementing or considering implementing testing for inbound visitors from China. That's something we have been tracking.
50%. They just instituted something called a zero tolerance tolerance in China, shut everything down, locked everything down, masked up everybody. It didn't work. So instead of continuing the lockdown, they just put them on planes and they opened up travel. And now what is happening, that was just one instance of Milan. And if you remember, that's where it began to spread globally last time. One of the first places that rapidly grew was Milan. It's like deja vu all over again. The funny way of saying it. It's deja vu, y'all. It sounds familiar. Why? Because the greatest freedom grab, the greatest moving towards Agenda 2030 that we've ever experienced came as a result of what happened in that Agenda 2030. And they are setting it up again. What is Agenda 2030? What does it really mean? Well, I want to show you. I did a little editing on this video, and I'm gonna give her credit. This lady, I don't know her, but she did a phenomenal job on breaking down what is called the 3 pillars of Agenda 30. And I've condensed it down as much as I can. She's got a video that's out there that's like, 45 minutes long. I've condensed it down to just a few minutes to show you some highlights, to get your mind working of where we're going. Because remember, 2030 is only 7 years away. And in order, their plans is, now you think about this. Are you not concerned? Does it not make ding, 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 put the alarm bells off when listen to me, big picture, every global and United Nations or anything that has global in their name, entity, World Economic Forum, United Nations, World Health Organization, World Bank, you go to any of these websites, any of them. I'm not talking about going to conspiracy websites. I'm talking about you go to their websites and search 2030. Agenda 2030, or just 2030. And you will find that every single global, every single world organization have all locked into 2030. They've all said that is the year of sustainability. If they've put all their eggs in the basket of 2030 when it comes to climate, when it comes to, the jabs, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to what they say, fighting poverty, when it comes to, quite frankly, population control, when it comes to all of that, they have said our plan that we have, and by the way, you can go to the World Economic Forum and you can search 8 predictions for 2030, and I've shown that video on my channel, and you'll see that that's the one where Klaus Schwab said you will, by 2030 you will own nothing and you will be happy about it. That's the first thing they said. They said you will own nothing, you'll rent everything, blah, blah, blah. So they lay all this out of what they see coming in 2030, and they've only got 7 years to get there. You better know this world is about to go through some stuff. So let's watch a little bit of this video, and we'll stop and break it down because it's important for you in 2023, 7 years away, to understand where this whole world is being.
Though I just want you to keep 2 things in mind. Number one, the World Economic Forum and the leader, Klaus Schwab, haven't been elected by anyone. Yet despite this fact, they are trying to influence politics all around the world in order to transform the.
Notice who he's shaking hands with, Justin Trudeau from Canada. So the reality is this. She started off by saying something very accurate. This man is not elected by any government, any entity in the world, but almost every country, including the United States of America, including the UK, including every nation in Europe, most every nation in the world is lining up to do what this man says and his forum. World Economic Forum was a forum that he founded and he is the chairman of. They all come, and by the way, right now at the time of this recording, is getting ready to have the 2023 Davos World Economic Forum. I will be reporting on that when it comes, but they're coming from all over the world right now. Even as I'm speaking, they're making their plans to get on their private jets and fly to Davos, Switzerland, to sit under this man and hear what this man says that they're supposed to do. Presidents and prime ministers are getting advice from this man.
That we live on. Let us discuss the 3 hypothetical pillars and how it might affect our lives. Pillar 1. Surveillance.
This is a big one.
The first pillar in the 2030 agenda is the possibility of total surveillance of every single one of us. And the way the WEF could achieve this is by us requiring a new form of identification.
Oh, listen,
the World Economic Forum suggests that
Who suggested it? The World Economic Forum suggested it. This is from their slideshow, and the world is lining up.
Every single person on the planet will receive a new form of digital ID, which they say would help promote a world of inclusion.
Did you notice the underlining right there? It had the word COVID-19. I don't know if the algorithm can spell. Probably still caught me. But it was saying the digital ID needs to come as a result of proof of beep, beep in the arm.
Where everyone has more access to basic services. But they also suggest this ID could be linked to absolutely everything in your life. It could be required to book plane and train tickets and track where it is you're going. This digital ID would be needed to access social media, the internet, bank accounts, and even a requirement in order to spend your money. And without your ID, it's possible you may not be able to buy anything at all. And who would...
Does that sound familiar to those that read the Bible? You're not going to be able to buy or sell anything unless you have a certain mark in your hand. Watch this.
Control your digital ID and the data it contains? Well, of course, your government would. In short, absolutely every action you take in your modern life could be tracked by this new type of personal ID. What your online habits are, where you go, what you buy online, what you say online, and so much more.
Right.
Anyway, where would you be carrying this new form of ID?
Here it is.
Well, according to...
Where will you be carrying this uniform form of ID? And guess what he says? Guess what she says? According to Klaus Schwab,
The WEF, you could be carrying it inside your body. In his book, The Fourth Industrial Revolution, Schwab talks heavily about how RFID chips could be used to track goods and packages around the world, enabling our economy to become significantly more efficient. But in referencing the same technology, he also said this: in the near future, similar monitoring systems will also be applied to the movement and tracking of people. He also says that the fourth industrial revolution will lead to a fusion of our physical, our digital, and our biological identities.
Wow.
Pillar 2, finance.
Okay, you have to understand what you just saw. He's openly saying that RFID chips are tracking shipments and material now, but very soon they will be able to track human beings, where they go, what they do, every aspect of their lives. And we are going, if you remember, his right-hand man, Noah Yarari, I can never say his name right, he said at the World Economic Forum that we have now can hack human beings, and we are going, the next wave of hacking is under the skin. How are they going to get it in there?
So you know the line, you will own nothing and you will be happy? Well, this is the pillar where this could be playing out.
Right.
In multiple articles on their own website and elsewhere, the WEF predicts a world where people will no longer own most of the things they use in life. Instead, through a sharing economy, items like clothing and cooking equipment will be owned by your government and delivered to you when you need them. Well, the next step would be to develop a secure digital currency that everybody can use. It's kind of like crypto, except the future digital currency proposed wouldn't be decentralized. It would be completely controlled by your government. And this is called the Central Bank Digital Currency, or CBDC.
CBDC. These are terms you're going to have to learn, because very quick you're going to begin to hear them more often in the news. CBDC. This is the Central Bank Digital Currency. This is one world currency. Most of the developed countries in the world, including the UK, the new prime minister, day one, almost on day one, in fact, it was day one of him becoming the prime minister of the United Kingdom, he began to say that is his purpose and his intention to move the UK to CBDC. Our government has also said that they are interested in joining it as well. What does that mean? That means doing away with the dollar, doing away with the pound, doing away with whatever the currency of your nation is, and digitizing all money, all of your money, and then giving all of that control, not to a bank, listen to her.
A CBDC would be fully trackable, traceable, and a secure form of currency that, like Bitcoin, lives on a blockchain. But it would be also fully centralized. It would be money controlled by those in power instead of being in the hands of the people. With a CBDC, your money would no longer be held in a bank account either. Instead, proposals suggest cutting out what they call the middleman, with your government becoming the bank that
How many want your government to be your bank?
Holds your money for you. Nations like United States, Brazil, China, Canada, Germany, Austria, and Australia are already at certain stages of research or developing a CBDC, meaning we may be only a couple of years away from this becoming a reality, but potentially
only a couple of years away from this becoming a reality.
Most worrying of all, a CBDC would also be fully programmable, meaning your government could place whatever rules they wanted on your money, potentially allowing you to only spend your money on the items that they deem appropriate. Now, let's move on to pillar 3. Pillar 3.
Okay. Your money could be programmable.
Scoring.
It's almost
Finally, the last part of the WEF.
This is the biggest one, y'all. This is the biggest one, scoring. And guess what? Guess who is the model for this next pillar?
Hypothetical plan for 2030 is scoring, basically ranking human beings against each other based on almost every single action that they take. And this is called the social credit system. Simply put, it is judging how good or bad of a citizen you are based on almost every single thing that you do in your day-to-day life. Rewarding people who are doing things that the government likes and punishing people that do the opposite. Sounds depressing? Well, there is already one place on Earth that has implemented this system.
China.
Today, China has already the world's most restrictive social credit system. It's a system where citizens are ranked based on almost everything they do in day-to-day life.
This is fact.
From how long they play video games to how well they drive, what their shopping habits are, and whether they buy too many luxury items, and especially what they say online as well as who they associate with. If a person's score gets too low, they can lose access to things in life that many of us would argue are human rights. Things like a passport, bank loans, or access to putting their children in a good school. And if your score gets low enough, there are even reports the governments can come and take your dog away. Only a few years ago, China was already banning upwards of 20 million people a year.
China bans 23 million people from buying a ticket to an airline or traveling because their social credit score was not there enough. Klaus Schwab introduced the prime minister or the leader, whatever it's called, the president of China, at the last week World Economic Forum and praised him for what he has done with his people and said his way he has done what he has done with his people is a model for the world.
Yeah, from buying a plane or train ticket because their social credit score was too low. And guess who is a big fan of China's system and the country's current leader? You guessed it, this guy. Klaus Schwab recently gave China's president a glowing introduction at World Economic Forum event and praised Xi's leadership as well as his nation's economic achievements. Don't like the idea of a credit score? Well, unfortunately, they soon could be coming to a country near you. A social credit system like this would neatly slot in with the surveillance pillar, and it would make the scoring of every individual very easy, because if we all have digital IDs, we could easily be scored on our every action. But a system like this would eventually mean that the government would control the people and how they live. It would mean that people would have to act the way that the government would want them to act. And those that don't toe the line, they would lose their rights and privileges, financial privileges, economic privileges, and basic human freedoms.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Agenda 2030. That has been laid out by the World Economic Forum. That has been adopted by the United Nations. That has been adopted by the World Health Organization. That has been adopted by the World Bank Organization. And by the way, if you do a Google search on Agenda 2030 and really start doing a deep dive in it, you will find some of the Fortune 500 companies all around the world they all have their Agenda 2030s. Some of the biggest names in the business world have on their websites, not even hiding it, their own Agenda 2030 of what they have for their employees, what they have for their social credit system. Remember, a couple of weeks ago, I did a show on Monday night, you need to go back and watch it, where it talks about ESG, the ESG scores that are out there, that businesses and nations are now being scored on a social scoring system from what is known as ESG. This is all a part of the plan. They are coming after us. They are coming after, and I say that without trying to, bring fear, because God's not given us a spirit of fear. There is a remnant that is rising, y'all. Let me tell you something. I am unashamedly on this program. You need to hear me. I am unashamedly a man of God. When you come on here, I'm going to give you news, but I'm going to give it from a kingdom perspective, because greater is he that's within me than he that's within the world. Can I preach a little bit? I need a little organ over here on my mixer. Go ahead and preach. If I talk like this, maybe some of you will think I'm a preacher. No. Right now, I need to talk plain to you, because in the midst of all this going on, there is a remnant rising. There are voices that are, I'm just going to say like myself, and I pale in comparison to some of these others, but I just made a decision at this age of my life. Y'all, I'm a pawpaw. I'm sort of like Benjamin Netanyahu. He could have just drifted off into the sunset. I'm a pawpaw, y'all. I've been pastoring in ministry for over 30 years. I've been pastoring this church for 28 years. I got friends that are winding down. They're buying a place on the lake. They're going to Florida. They're getting ready to retire. I don't question them. I don't judge them. I don't begrudge them. But that ain't who I am. God said your voice needs to rise up. You need to get on that YouTube. You need to get on wherever you can get on there, and you need to tell people the truth and open up their eyes. Now, I'm going to show you one more video, and then we're going to close this program tonight. But this is an important one, because I want you to know that part of Agenda 2030, and this is the part that's going to escalate quickly before you even begin to see the layout and the rollout of the digital IDs CBDC, all these other things that you've heard tonight, is you're already seeing it by the cultural agenda that is happening, the LGBTQ, I'm gonna get flagged for everything. Might as well go ahead and get flagged. I mean, all the drag queens and all this kind of stuff that you see out there is one thing, but when you preach it against, even though you preach it in love, you preach the Bible, what the Bible says, you are becoming the enemy. You are becoming the enemy. And there's one guy, and I can't never really say his name right. I think it's Sean Faucht, but it's Feucht. He's a worship leader. And during the global thing that went around when everybody was told you couldn't have church and everything, he just got his guitar and got outside and started saying, let us worship. So he started going to the parks and the outdoors. They started being arrested. They started getting shut down. Police started showing up and telling them, you can't worship in the open air. You got to get out of here. You got to get out of here. Well, it started a movement. Well, he's one of the most hated men out there. So I want to give you a warning, all right? If you've got kids watching, I want to go ahead and tell you that there's no bad words, I don't think, is being said in this video because this was published by him, but there are some really bad words that are spelled out. I want you to know that just this week, simply for preaching the gospel, this wasn't even what he's done before. There's nothing wrong with him going to the parks and singing. He was going to a church. He was a guest worship leader and a guest speaker at a church. And the woke community and the anti-God community, and quite frankly, the sexual perverted community there in this city heard that he was coming, and it wasn't enough for them to get outside and protest. They literally took spray paint and defaced everything about the church. They spray painted F you this, F Sean, all this, and promoted really graphic things that he couldn't even show. But I want you to see. Now, look, it's going to shock you. And some of y'all are going to get mad at me for showing this because the F word will be on the screen. I'm giving you a heads up right now, giving you plenty of time to let you know that. But you need to be shocked. This was a church. If you're a believer, I want you to ask yourself, how would you feel if you pulled in on a Sunday morning service and you're getting ready to go into your house of worship, and this is what you found when you pulled in? City View Church, San Diego, I believe it is. Anarchy symbols. I'll just let you read it. I'm not going to read it. This is about a 45-second video. This is the house of God. Look at all this stuff. Christo-fascist is what they called it. A Christo-fascist. Names him. You're going to be a voice, you better be brave. They'll come after you. That's the church office. This is what you had to go through to get to the house of God. That was the front. Listen what he says. I feel the Holy Ghost right now. Let the remnant rise. Devil, you're a liar. I think it's going to strengthen your liar. I release that fire. I feel Jesus' name. Somebody in the Bible just say, we will not be slaughtered. We will not be slaughtered. You can't take my praise. You don't need no government gives me the right to praise. You can't take my right away to praise. My right to praise is right. It's not a privilege. It's a right. I was created in the image of God. And God's word said that I was created to show forth the praises of God. Is that you? Are you a child of God? Because let me tell you something, you're going to need to be a child of God in this time. You ain't going to be able to handle what's coming if you don't have hope. If you don't have hope in God, and you ain't going to get hope from man. You ain't going to get hope from the World Economic Forum. You ain't going to get hope from the woke crowd. You ain't going to get hope from Hollywood. No, they're going to tell you what you believe is crazy and stupid. I'm going to get flagged. I'm going to get shadow banned. I don't know if anybody's even going to get to watch this after tonight, but I'm going to tell you something. As long as I can, I'm going to keep getting on this camera, and I'm going to keep telling the world, Jesus is the only way. He's the way, the truth, and the life. No man gets to the Father but by him. And if you don't know Jesus Christ as your Savior, just raise your voice to him right now, wherever you're at, watching this live or on the replay, and just say, Jesus, I believe you are who you say you were, and I believe you died on the cross for my sins. Come into my heart and save me tonight. I confess you as my Lord and my Savior, and I will not live in fear. I will not walk in fear, and no man can take my praise, and no man's going to touch my family. Stand in the gap for your family. God's searching the world to and fro. His eyes are going to and fro, trying to find somebody who will stand in the gap. Will you stand in the gap? Will you be the remnant? Will you stand against not just Agenda 2030, but will you stand against the agenda of the devil? John 10:10 says, here's the agenda, ultimate agenda of the devil. The thief comes but to steal and to kill and to destroy. But Jesus said, but I have come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. And that's what you will get on the big picture here. If you have not shared, if you have not subscribed to this channel, subscribe, because more like this is coming. I'm not going down. I'm not toning down. I'm ramping up. If you think this is something, you better come back next week, because every week I'm ramping it up more and more on that devil, because I'm tired of it. I would say, devil, you get your hands off my kids. Devil, you get your hands off my grandkids. You get your hands off my marriage. In the name of Jesus, you get your hands off my nation. If you gave your heart to Jesus Christ, comment in the live chat, comment in the comment section below so that we can praise and rejoice with you. If you want to be a partner with us, click that join button, hit the super chat, whatever. I'm not even going to talk anything about this, because this is about the kingdom. I love the Lord and I love you, and you don't even know how much you've blessed me tonight to be on here. I can't wait to go back and read all the live chat, because I couldn't read it on the live. But I love you, and don't forget, those that know Pastor Paul Begley, the first Tuesday of every month, I do the Kingdom Intelligence Report with Pastor Paul Begley, one of the greatest men of God, one of the greatest voices on this planet and for this season of this moment, and that is this coming Tuesday, which is tomorrow. If you're watching this live or on the replay, tomorrow, Tuesday at 1 p.m. Central, right here on the big picture, you will see my guest, Pastor Paul Begley, and we will talk about the issues of the day, and we will pray for you. God bless you. Thank you for joining. Share this broadcast and let somebody know to come back every Monday night at 7 p.m. and every Wednesday night for Bible study at 9 p.m. Both of those are Central. Love you. God bless you. Happy New Year. This is the church's greatest moment and its finest hour. God trusted you. At the big picture, we are not woke, but we are certainly awake. I'll see you next time. Have a great night, and God bless.